Hey mamas, welcome to today's workout. We've got a 10-minute workout today, and I'm gonna show you the 10 best exercises that you're gonna do throughout your pregnancy for a strong, fit pregnancy, easy labor and delivery, and then a faster postpartum recovery. So grab a set of light to medium weights. We're gonna start with the Romanian deadlift. So turn to this side for me, feet under your hips, shoulders back and down. We're gonna hinge from the hips, bring those weights down about mid-shin, stand up, squeeze the glutes. We're gonna go for a minute here. So I want you to just push your butt back, hinge forward, keep your chin tucked so you're looking out about 6 feet ahead here. And then you're aiming for a flat back the whole time. So that means your core is braced, your belly button is pulled in toward your spine, and then your shoulders are back and down, your chest is lifted, but you're not arching your low back. We want to keep those weights close to the thighs as we come down and up, and that's going to give you that little stretch through the back body. You're going to feel it in your hamstrings, and then as you stand up, you're going to push through your heels, squeeze the glutes just a little. We want to keep the hips in neutral here. So when you're up, hips right here, try not to overextend here. That's going to put that work into your low back, and we don't want to strain. Couple more here. I'm talking a lot because I want you guys to get the most out of this one, get good technique for when you're doing it at home. All right, go ahead. You can set one dumbbell down here, or you can set both down. We're gonna go to a sumo squat. So I want you to take your feet nice and wide for me, toes out slightly, and then we're gonna hang that weight down or arms down. We're gonna press the knees out, sit the hips back into a squat. Here we go. So knees push out, and then we stand up. We're gonna work again for another minute here. And if you need more time to rest, feel free to take it. This is supposed to be more of a tutorial workout. And then once you know the moves, you can pick up the pace a little bit or do more sets than we're gonna do today. So knees out, and I'm pushing my butt back. So my knees are tracking out over my toes, but I wanna still see my toes at the bottom. So those knees aren't pushing forward, and that's gonna keep that pressure in the hips, the glutes. And I'm keeping my chest up. Even though my arms are reaching down, I'm never rounding my spine. My shoulders are back and down, pushing my knees out, squeezing the glutes on the way up. And then I'm pushing out of my heels here, feeling those glutes, the hips, everything's working here. Couple more. This one's great for working that pelvic floor, strengthening your hips. So good for pregnancy. All right, so you can grab your other dumbbell here, or you can go without weights on this one. We're gonna move to a lateral lunge. So all these exercises can be done with light to medium weights. I'm using 10 pounds here, but you can absolutely do them without weights, except for the deadlift. You kind of need some resistance there. Okay, we're gonna step out to the side, long step out, bending that knee, step back in, other leg, step out, and then in. So when you're stepping out, your toes are still pointed straight ahead. You're pushing your hips back, and then you're pushing that knee forward in line with middle toes. Just like in that squat, I want you to still be able to see your toes at the bottom. Chest up, and even though your arms are reaching forward, your chest is still up. So you're gonna hinge from your hip a little bit, but you've got good posture here, and you're aiming to get deep in that lunge. So this leg's straight, this leg is bent almost 90 degrees. Now take your time. If you can't get that low, if your belly's in the way, don't sweat it. Take your time, do what you can. And again, if you're using weights, we wanna make sure we've got really good form here. And if you're not using weights, same thing. Good technique always. Feel free to take it slow and relax. Okay, you can keep one dumbbell here or go without a weight. We're gonna do a monster walk. Come to the end of your mat for me. Toes straight ahead, we're gonna squat and walk side to side, about the length of the mat. So feet under hips, sit your hips back, step out and in. I'm not stepping all the way together. Feet about hip width apart, and then I want you to take them nice and wide. Now when you step out, I want you to lead with the outside edge of your foot. Keep your hip, your knee, and your ankle in a line. So I'm not twisting, and I'm also not leading just with my hip or just with my knee. So I want to stay low. Weight back in those heels. You should be able to wiggle those toes. That means that pressure's in your hips. And this move again is great for the pelvic floor, great for endurance training. which we need throughout pregnancy and labor and delivery. And I want to try to stay low. The lower you go, the harder it will be. But you can also come up a little higher if that's too intense. It's your workout. Lots of options here. And you could just always take your arms in front of your chest in prayer hands if you don't want to use a weight here. And rest. All right, we're gonna do a squat press. So you can use 1 or 2 dumbbells. Since I've got a heavier dumbbell, I'm just gonna do 1. Feet just outside your hips. We're gonna squat first, then drive the hips, drive that weight up overhead. Start with that weight at your collarbones, brace your core, and let's squat, press, squat, press. So you can see immediately as I stand up, I'm pushing that weight overhead, driving those hips, pushing out of my heels, squeezing my glutes. Now I want to get nice and deep in that squat, so butt almost to the knees here. And I'm bracing that core at the top. If you see me from this side, my weight stays slightly forward. And at the top, my hips are under those shoulders. I'm not arching my back. The faster you go, the easier this one will be because you can use your momentum, that hip drive, to get the weight up. Looking good here. About 10 seconds. Great for getting your heart rate up as well, getting some cardio. Rest. All right, we're gonna keep one weight or pick up a weight. If you don't have one, we're gonna do a single arm row. So 1 foot forward, other foot back, a couple feet behind that front foot. Hinge forward from the hip, chest up, abs tight, and we're gonna pull this weight to the hip, pulling the elbow nice and high, keeping that core tight. So I want 95% of your weight in that front leg right here. Front knee over ankle, nice and soft. And then you're bracing your core. So every time you pull that elbow back, you're avoiding rotation. That's gonna get that core work. And then I want you to anchor through your front heel. That's gonna get your glute firing. And then with the arm, we're pulling the elbow up and back, squeezing through the lat right here, that meaty muscle in the back. Nice and controlled. You can move a little quicker if you'd like, depending on what weight you're using. You might need to go slower. But as I'm pulling, you can see I'm not shifting my weight. It's stable. So we're working that balance, those stabilizers in the glutes, the core. And then we're getting that back, the triceps. You can feel everything here. My chin's tucked, I'm looking out about 6 feet in front. Rest. All right, we're gonna do that same thing, other side. So we've got 10 exercises, but 2 of these are bilateral, so we're gonna do 1 each side. So reset that form. Good posture here. And it doesn't matter what weight you're using. Again, you could even use a household object as a resistance. You don't have to have a dumbbell here. Hinge forward and pull. Lots of options, and depending where you're at in your pregnancy, you might be able to do more or less. I'm about 35 weeks now, so I'm just grateful to keep moving. Again, I'm pushing through my front heel. You can see that knee is over the ankle. Neck long, back straight, abs tight the whole time. And it's really important to keep your belly button pulled in toward your spine throughout these exercises. The more you do it, the more you'll get used to it and it'll be natural. And we want to do that because strengthening our inner abdominal wall during pregnancy and keeping it strong is so important. It's going to help us bring our abs back together, regain core function after baby is here. Keep squeezing through that meaty muscle, those lats, pull that elbow nice and high. We're almost there, a couple more. Rest. All right, we're gonna move to the floor for this portion of the workout. Now we're going to work the core a little bit more. So I want you to bring your hands under your shoulders, your knees under your hips. You're going to brace that belly again, belly button pulled in toward your spine. And we're gonna take the front leg and the back arm and lift it for a bird dog. So leg lifts, arm lifts, same time, and we'll alternate sides. So front arm, back leg, opposites here. So that arm goes to about shoulder height, the leg goes to hip height. We don't wanna go too high with that leg because we wanna keep the work safely in the back If we take it too high, we might strain our low back. So you can flex or point your foot here. You can see I'm moving nice and controlled, trying to move my arm and leg simultaneously. That way you maintain your balance and you really have to work that core. So every time you lift, you're pulling that belly button in toward your spine, you're squeezing your glute, you're stretching out the arm, and you can see my opposite hand that's on the ground, that hand is right under the shoulder line. A lot of times people can shift back. That will take that work out of your core and also cause you to lose balance. So we want to stay really controlled here. This is one of my top exercises for the core, and you'll see this in a lot of my prenatal and postpartum core workouts because it's so important. Rest, and we're gonna work that core a little bit more in our next move. We're gonna do some push-ups. We're gonna do them kneeling, and I'm gonna show you options to make them more advanced or more modified if you need. So we're gonna take the arms wide here, about as wide as the mat or a little bit wider. Take your knees nice and wide here, shoulders over wrist. We're gonna bring that chest down to elbow level and push up. Chest down and up. So you can see I'm leading with my chest, taking it about elbow level or as much as you can without touching your belly to the ground. Keep that core tight here. Pushing through the palms of the hands. And you can see my body weight's forward. A big mistake people do is shifting their weight back, and then you're not really getting that work in your arms or your core. So you want to keep that body weight forward. Now, if this feels way too hard, I want you to bring your knees in and work from here. This is still a great option, and again, it's harder with your belly to get your chest low, but that's okay. I want you to keep leading with your chest. So, if you start to lead with your hips or your neck, I want you to take a break. It's really important to lead with that chest. That's gonna get that work where you want it and keep you from straining your back and your neck. Rest. That's one of the harder ones for sure. Roll it over safely for me. We're going to a glute bridge. So, carefully come onto your back, feet close to your butt. We're gonna place those hands by our sides. So, we're gonna drive those hips up, squeeze the glutes. One of my favorite exercises because we get to lie down. So hips come up and then lightly tap on the floor. So you're pushing through your heels, hips come high, but not too high. I want you to feel this in your butt and your hamstrings, maybe a little bit in that low back, but not too much to where you're feeling it so much in the low back and you're feeling it up here in your hip flexors. If you're there, you're too high. So do you see the difference here? I'm really driving up those hip flexors. Here, my work is fit in the glutes. So find that range, keep it there. And then when I'm coming down, I'm just barely tapping my hips on the floor. Again, that's gonna keep that pressure still in the glutes. I'm not just resting on the floor. If you can, do that. Might as well get the most out of it. It's only a minute. And I'm pulling my belly button in toward my spine. Exhaling at the top. That's gonna engage your transverse abdominis, which is connected to that pelvic floor. And we wanna really strengthen that pelvic floor for labor and delivery, and it's gonna make that postpartum recovery easier. Rest. All right, we're moving to a side forearm plank. So roll to that front side, elbow is under your shoulder, and your hip is in line with the elbow. We're gonna keep that bottom leg bent, and then extend the top leg onto the side of the foot. We're gonna reach up with that top arm, in 3, 2, 1, lift, and hold it here. Now we're gonna hold it the entire minute. If you cannot hold it a minute, no big deal. I understand, it's tough. What I want you to do to try to stay in it, pull your shoulder away from your ear and press down through your forearm. Now pick up your waistline. So the underside of your waist, your obliques, your hips are working here. Now reach that arm up, stretch it to the sky. If you don't wanna do that, you can keep it on your hip. We're about halfway there now. Can you keep holding? This one's all about core control, working the obliques, the hips and glutes, getting a little shoulder work as well. And then pulling that belly button in toward the spine, engaging those deep core muscles, again, which are so essential for pregnancy and postpartum. And recover. All right, we're gonna move to our last exercise, and that's the same exercise, other side. So forearm plank. Remember, elbow under shoulder, 90 degrees, elbow in line with the hip, this bottom knee's forward, top leg extends on the blade of the foot. Brace that core. We're gonna lift that waistline in 3, 2, 1. Lift and reach. Breathe. Again, picking up that waistline, pulling the belly button in toward the spine, pushing through the forearm. If you feel a lot in your shoulder, I want you to try to push that arm into the floor and pull your shoulder away from your ear. If you still feel it a lot, just take your time. Maybe you work up to doing it for 20 seconds, 30, 40, and then you move to a minute. A minute is a long time, but I want to give you plenty of opportunity to master these exercises. So don't feel bad if you can't do the full minute. Just take your time and pay attention to the technique. Breathe here, we're almost there. And again, we're just doing one set today. It's more of a demonstration video, but as you progress and as you master the moves, you can start to do more than one set. And I would suggest that doing this workout a couple times a week, 2 to 3 sets, and you're gonna get a great workout, even if you just do one set. And that's it, we're done. So again, I hope you enjoyed the workout. Let me know what you think of those 10 exercises, and I'd love to hear how they've helped you throughout your pregnancy if you've been doing them. So let me know where you're at in your pregnancy, how this is helping you, and I'd love to see progress pics as well. So I hope I'll see you next time for our next prenatal and postpartum workout together.